Okay.
Hi, hi guys. I've got Matt Starkey on the line. Obviously, as you well know, Matt Starkey was over at Steemfest last week, and I'm sure, obviously, some of you have been following that and the progress it was making with the presentation and the people that he met. Well, I've been waiting to get Matt back in the UK so that I could have a conversation with him and get him to give us a rundown. So hopefully, Matt will be able to share with us all what he heard, what he saw, his thoughts, and give us a little bit of feedback from Steemfest. So it's welcome back to the UK, Matt, and over to you and tell us what happened.
All right, Stephen. It's nice to speak to you. Steemfest was an amazing event. It was fantastically put together by Roland Piers. I'm sure everyone's heard around Steemit so far. It was essentially 2 days of conferences where we were discussing new developments on the Steemit platform, and then 3 days of kind of a little bit of socialising, getting to know people, and there was a closing dinner at the end, and sort of everyone sadly said goodbye. I was lucky enough to stay for an extra day because the flights were cheap, so I got another day for free, walking around Portugal, enjoying the good weather. Now it's back to the UK to freeze my ass off a little bit. So regards to the event itself, I was lucky enough to present at the event, and it was all about trying to show people the work that we've done with Promo-Steem and Promo UK, and show people that there's a tag out there with people promoting Steem from all over the world. We feel, of course, that the tag is not very well represented in the community in terms of the amount of votes that it gets. There's a lot of hardcore, hard-working Steemians on there that are trying to tell people about what Steem and Steemit is, and that benefits the whole community. So we want to encourage people to go there, go visit the tag, hashtag promo-steem, and take a look at the work there and vote for those guys because they're really doing a sterling job. So we communicated that at the Steemfest. The other thing that we kind of wanted to take a look at was the sort of business model side of Steemit, and try to encourage this idea of value creation, right? Supporting content that is going to create value on the platform, not just any old blog. Let's primarily support blogs that are people going out there and either talking about Steem or running a business idea off Steem that's going to bring profits back into Steemit, making an app that's going to make things easy with Steemit. These are all value creation things, and ultimately they result in an uptick in the price, which is good for everyone, and they result in people being better rewarded for the high value work that they do. So we had while I was there, I discussed this with a lot of people. There's a lot of people that understood it already, a lot of people that didn't understand it and were like, right, I understand what you mean, because ultimately if we're not supporting value creating work or value creation content, then we are sending value off the platform, and that ultimately results in a price drop, which is great for people right now so they can line their pockets with Steem and then sell the Steem into the market, but ultimately it's bad for the whole community in the long run. And a lot of people are hoping that Steem's going to do well, but they don't really know why exactly. So I'm from the point of view that we need to have a practical reason why Steem's going to do well. Right now we need to be doing things, and what are you doing today, you personally as a member of the Steemit community? What are you doing to help the price go up? What are you doing to add value to the community? And looking at it from that point of view. So I just wanted to run through a couple of things that I thought were really interesting items that came from the event. Again, met loads of interesting people. I don't want to name too many names because we could be here forever. Really recommend going to Steemfest, by the way, if you want to build your network, understand where Steemit is, if you've got any doubts, and then talk to people you've got a lot in common with. It really was a fantastic event for that, and I really appreciate again Roland P for organising that event. So I made a couple of notes here, and I just want to go through a couple of the things to just sort of outline where I think we're going to end up going, based on things that I heard at Steemfest from different people. So the first thing that I thought was interesting is this discussion of communities. There's lots of discussion at Steemfest about how do we group the communities around and focus them into central places on the platform, So anyone that's doing anything about a certain idea or a certain project or a certain initiative, there's a place where everyone knows where to go. So of course at the moment we have the trending tags, right? But the problem is that if someone puts the wrong tag name or makes a spelling mistake or doesn't write the tag right or doesn't quite know what they're looking for, they'll end up posting to a different tag, so that the efforts are either duplicated or distributed around the platform, when if there was some more focus on getting communities together for different initiatives, those efforts could be focused into one place. So for example, a promotion initiative, and everyone knows then where all the promotion work goes. At the moment we're trying to use the Promo-Steem tag, but we can see how hard that is in terms of getting people to come around it. But there's obviously hundreds of other initiatives, and certainly at least 50 or so communities on the platform that could do well to be together in one place. So it's kind of discussion around getting communities focused in one place. Another thing that I spoke to quite a lot was regards to the communities is how the tags are written, right? Maybe if we had a kind of thing where as you start typing the tag in, it automatically brings up the most popular tag. You know, like you do on YouTube, right? So you start typing it, it auto-populates. That would be a really good one to get people to focus in the right places. Another one that kind of comes from the business world is this idea of a project funnel. So Steemit at the moment, when I went to Steemfest, I learned about 7 or 8 or 10 different initiatives that I hadn't got a clue were on Steemit, right? I didn't know about them, and I use Steem all the time. That's probably more of a sort of slight on my ability to find information, but the point is that there's no kind of place where people can go to find this information out. So what would be a good idea would be to have a project funnel, so that all the projects are listed in one place. You know, all the initiatives, all the projects are on one place and kind of listed by priority. Let's say the community decides this is the highest priority project, whether it's a profit generation project, whether it's a social initiative or whatever they're working on at the time. The community can decide what that project is and put it to the top of the list, right? And then we can say, right, we need these resources for that project. It's this percent complete. This is where we are. This is where we're going towards. And then people can voluntarily provide their resources or their time to help that initiative. And kind of, if we had that funnel listed out, it really would focus the community into the right places. A kind of side to that as well is some sort of dash type model, where you have. Sorry, I'm just coming down from Steemfest still. Yeah, there was lots of drinking, lots of partying as well as the discussion, so I'm recovering, but I'm still got the tag on, and not really wanting to take it off yet. So back to this funnel, this idea of a project funnel. So the other side would be, can the Steemit community, obviously they make 9.5% of emissions every year to pay the bloggers, the witnesses, and the curators, right? Can we take a little bit of that 9.5% and use it to fund profit generating projects in the similar way to what Dash does? So people on the Steem community could make proposals. So this is the idea, this is the return over XYZ time, and then other people could propose delegating their Steem or loaning Steem to that, or better still, can the Steemit community set aside some of its emissions every year to fund those projects? Yeah, and again, it's a community-based thing. The projects will be funded by what the community base votes on going forwards. So that's kind of interesting. That there's a couple of side initiatives to that as well. That things like Utopian, which I'll go into in a second, that start that ball rolling. But there's a little bit more to go, and there's discussion around this, and this is where it all starts. People discussing Steemfest, and then it moves on from there. You know, the initiatives get built forward as the community decides how to proceed. Another one was on delegation. So one moment, struggling. Another one was on delegation. It was about how do we get the community to delegate Steem. So of course, the problem that we've seen recently, Stephen, is that Steem's been delegated to a certain number of individuals, and they only have so many eyes, right? So it's very, very, very difficult for them to spot value on the platform and work out what they need to vote for. Yeah, alongside with bad habits where they're not using the delegation properly, this means that a lot of valuable content gets left undiscovered, right? So one of the things that I was discussing with people was, as a side to just having witnesses who are voted in, so you've got these top 20 witnesses, right, and they get paid a certain amount of the emissions. Is there a space for having 50 or 80 delegatees who have delegated Steem and they have lobbied to get into that position, right? They're either voted in there by the community or there's certain requirements they have to meet. You know, like, I'm a really good Steemian, I'm really responsible with my Steem, I will do everything I can to vote this, that, the other type of initiative. And if you catch me doing otherwise, then you can vote me out of the delegated position, right? So then you have maybe there's like 80 people who work full-time on Steem, they are formally well known in the community, they're voted in, and they're delegated Steem to go and vote and find value, right? So that's something that the platform struggled with a little bit of recent. And I think that discussion's being had. Where it goes, we'll let the community decide, but just the fact that those discussions are being had. So those are kind of key discussions I thought were interesting that I had at Steemfest. One of the other most interesting things that I had when I was there was at the end of the fest, kind of the conference days, you had this presentation of the hackathon, right? So it was 5 teams, and they'd spent 24 hours just blasting out an app or an initiative or an idea on how the Steemit blockchain can be improved, right? So I want to go through a couple of those because I thought it was just amazing. It was amazing to see that the Steemit community could put together a small team of people for 24 hours and produce apps that we can use, you know. And then the thought is, well, can we go on to do? Can this be a running team? Can we have a team that we can fund continuously that's just pumping apps out, right? Obviously, that's not there yet, but another discussion maybe to be had and an initiative to be started on the platform. So during this 24 hours of hackathon, these teams produced some excellent things. So I'll just read off one that I thought was really interesting. I'll read them all off, but this one I thought was really interesting was BitArt Futures, right? So a futures market on the Steemit platform, right, for artwork. The idea blows my mind, right? But the way it would work is, you get these artists, they're great artists, they come on Steemit, they haven't got a big network, so they post their art and they get 10 cents for it, right? And they go, Steemit's rubbish, we didn't like this, right? We only got 10 cents for our artwork, right? That's partly because of their marketing, they have to get a bigger network, well that could take a long time to do. So the idea would be that someone such as yourself, not necessarily, I don't know that you're an art dealer, you've got a nice piece of artwork behind you there in your plant, I really, sorry, I'm just getting some pasta. Thank you. Some pasta on the way around. You can't go wrong in this place. So the idea would be that these people that such as you could go and find this artwork and say, I really like that piece of artwork. If I blog it, I'll get $100 for it, right? So I'm willing to buy that artwork for $50, $40 off the sort of minnow Steemian artist, and then sell that on essentially by posting it to your platform and getting paid $100 for it, right? So then you can have what this guy, it's Blue Abeleno, right? He's created this platform where you can go, it's a centralised place where you can go and find the artwork and bid on it on an open market, and then obviously post it to your network. Now, of course, this doesn't work just for art. It works for any content
Anything
that is undervalued that can be posted to other people. So essentially you start to have these people with networks who are in a similar way to the Delegated issue I was just trying to say, trying to find value and then buying that value for a lower price and essentially selling it onto their own network at a higher price. So you've got this kind of weird, interesting new kind of futures market developing, which I think is absolutely mind-blowing. And
Matt, there's been so many times that I've seen things on Steemit where I know that it has a greater value than that it's been rewarded, and it's purely down to a network effect. And I think the idea is superb because that is real, true value creation. When you can share something with a better, stronger network and be rewarded better because you're more, you've got a bigger network. I think it's a great idea. I love this idea. I love this one. I really do.
Yeah, amazing. Just sitting there listening to that being presented was kind of mind blowing. And onto another one, trying to keep things moving forwards. Another team, they're called Phenomenon Team. They've created this ICO platform. So as these smart media tokens come out, they're creating the platform upon which you can go to buy these smart media tokens. Yeah. So another very foresightful initiative, and they presented their app at the hackathon. So that was really, really interesting. I can't wait to see that more because, of course, I want to be able to. I've got some Steem. I want to be able to buy some of these tokens, and that's the place we can all go to. So what a great initiative there. Another one was Utopian, which we've heard about quite a lot. Utopian.io. Unaired has just actually delegated 1 million Steem to them, which I think is well deserved and fantastic. Yeah, I think that's a real good use of Steem. And basically what that is essentially a crowdfunding platform for initiatives, for projects, yeah. So in a similar way I was just talking to you about Project Funnel, that may be a place we can start it, but it's not actually a place where Steem would provide emissions to, but it's a place where you, I, anyone else, anyone with delegated Steem as well, you can go there and you can actually pay on a monthly basis to support these projects. And then if the project's not doing very well, you can pull your funding. And it's there, they're all listed, you can go and read about all the projects and work out what, which ones you're interested in and invest in them essentially. So that's a really, really cool development, utopian crowdfunding. The one that won the competition, which I think is excellent, was Steemit World Map. So I don't know, well basically it started off as a travel blogging thing, right? So people are blogging, they're travellers, and they're putting their blogs in certain places. Now as far as I understand, there's an algorithm on the Steemit World Map that goes into your blog and works out where you are, right? So you if you're writing your blog, you say Thailand 5 times, you're clearly in Thailand, right? So then it puts your, there's an algorithm built in that essentially you can go to a Google Map version and you can see where that blog was posted, right? But then it lists, like say it's in Chiang Mai in Thailand, there might be 5 blogs posted there. Say it's in London, there might be 4 blogs posted there, and so on and so forth, right? So then you can click into those blogs. You can also search by day, so you can go into a day last year and see how many blogs were posted on that day in that location. And it kind of starts to become a little bit like, from what I can see, it can move towards what Snapchat's doing at the moment. Now I don't know if you've seen Snapchat of recent, but it's really quite interesting. I'm not a big Snapchat type person, but let's say you're in Birmingham and you want to know what the best club is at the moment, right? In days gone by, you'll say, yeah, well that club's really good, it was good last week, or I heard that club's good this week, yeah, but and you go to the club and you find out there's no one there, for example, right? So it's a bit of a risk in your night. Well, Snapchat's kind of got this red hot feature, right? So you can go and you can see where are all the most Snapchats being done at this current moment. And it lit on a Saturday night in the centre of a town, it's focused at all the bars. It's really amazing. So you can see which bars are the most popular, and therefore you can guarantee you're going to go, right? So that type of thing. Well, this is what I can see Steemit World Map moving towards, not necessarily for parties and stuff, but you can see the hotspots of Steemians around the world. You can see where they all are, where they're all posting. And then for a promotion side, for us at Promo-Steem, we can then say, well, let's go to the cities that have got less activity and focus our efforts there. Yeah. So that's a tool I thought was really useful from our side. What else have we got? Those are the apps. Just to finish, those are the apps from the hackathon. I thought they were amazing, and the fact that they came out of a hackathon over 24 hours, and that's possible, right? What could we do if we had a continuous team going?
Amazing.
Yeah. Sorry, that was it on the apps. I've got a couple of other things to go through, but is there any other comments from you?
No, carry on.
Okay. So let's have a look here. In terms of the developer side, I'm not a techie. I sat through a couple of the techie presentations. I tried my best to understand. But the kind of most interesting thing that I pulled from that, from Steemit Inc., was that they've managed, or at least they're starting to segregate the blockchain, right? Which means, at the moment, if you do a soft fork or a hard fork, you have to essentially reset everything, right? You have to go back to the start and you have to reload the whole blockchain and go from there. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys, but I hope I'm getting the gist across. At the moment, what they're working on doing is essentially segregating the important features of the blockchain into separate blocks on the algorithm, right? So what happens is if they're going to change one part, they only need to change one part of the block, right? They don't need to change every single block just to change the sort of logo, let's say, right? If they want to make a small change to a part of the back room, there's a separate part for that, and they can just change that one part and then reset that block, as opposed to having to reset the whole thing. So it means that updates are a lot slicker and smoother. They can be a lot more reactive to things. And so I think things like updating the Steemit sort of web page kind of thing has been a real problem in the past because of that, whereas now they're going to be able to easily update sections of that as they go forward. So that's really interesting. I probably haven't given a very good description of it, but I think that's a nice use of their time going forwards, and they're obviously into many other things as well that I wouldn't be able to do justice to explaining it to you here. On to a couple of the other last things that I wanted to talk about. I did find a few things that are trying to create value on the platform that I thought were really quite interesting. It's early days for value creation yet, but I think this is the general way forward with Steem. I think Steem will end up being a value creation mechanism, and hopefully the projects that create value and profits for themselves will be putting those profits back into Steem, and therefore driving the price up and providing a market for this. So one of the things that I thought was really cool was the SND Box group. They're a cracking group of guys. They funded this Steem Park through a few of the guys at the top of Steemit Inc. and they managed to get Delegated Steem and sort of a bit of investment to make that happen. They did a great video summary of it recently. If you get a chance to check that out, SND Box. It's a fantastic page on Steemit. Essentially, what they're doing, from what I can see, they are supporting initiatives with Delegated Steem. So if there's a really, really cool initiative or a value creation initiative, they will push that. They will go on that and help the people pushing that initiative go forward and support them with resources and Steem. So I really like that idea. The Steem Park isn't necessarily a value, a profit creation mechanism yet, but it's a really good value creation mechanism because it allows people to congregate around one place. The Steemit logo's on there, it's funded by Steem's written on there. So it's starting to get people understanding what Steem can be used for. It's a good model to go forward with. So they're a cracking group of guys. They did a great presentation. Another one was, I spoke to a guy called Lionel Tapiro, who's in charge of a startup called Image Economy. Now, he's not on Steemit, but he was a guy that came to the Steemfest externally, trying to work out if he could put his company, Image Economy, onto the Steemit blockchain using smart media tokens, yeah? So he sort of tried, he was speaking to me about it. I'm no techie again, but I know enough to sort of explain a lot of the principles of what these smart media tokens will do, what Steemit is. So I think he left feeling a lot more positive and understanding where the risks were for him and where they weren't. He sat through a lot of the conferences, and I like to think that going forward he will end up bringing his company onto the Steemit blockchain. And essentially what they do is from what I gather, they do high-end art and image and photos, and they put them into one place so people can upvote them. So it's very compatible with Steem and an SMT token potentially. But also if you look at things like the BitArt futures and how that could tie into his business, I think there's a whole cooking pot of potential there that could come out. So hopefully he's come away feeling positive and wants to stay on Steem with his company and doesn't feel that there's another way to monetize and blockchain his company. So that's all very interesting. I thought that's because we wouldn't have had that last year at Steemfest. This is only this year when new venture capitals are coming to say, hey, can I build my business on Steem? So that's really interesting. Another one was Surfer Marley. She's a really, really successful Steemian. She's sort of come up from nowhere and has ended up taking up surfing, putting that life on Steem and doing it in a really, really cool, quality way. She's ended up making a living. She actually lives in Portugal at the moment, the lucky lady. She's a lovely girl. But one of the things I like about her, the value creation side of her thing, is she's ended up doing a charitable thing off of her blog. So she's helping kids learn to surf, disadvantaged kids in the community learn to surf from her blogs, funding it through Steem. Yeah. This to me is a massive model because I'm very closely associated with a Premiership footballer, and he's earning ridiculous money every week. And of course, all these type of people, they have charities that they're interested in, and of course, the Steemit blockchain can be a mechanism through which they can fund those charities, and we can get mass community upvoting provided to blogs to provide charity for disadvantaged people. Yeah. So I think there's a whole charity side of Steemit that hasn't been, well, Surfer Marley is certainly one of the first ones to leverage it, and I think it's, for people like me and anyone else that has connections in high places with wealthy individuals who want to get into charity, this is a great way to do it, and so I'm looking forward to that going forward with Steem. Two other things. There was a presentation by a group of people called Appics, APPICS, yeah. They really look like they've got their game in order. They had a great marketing approach, they had a great video, they've got a great team around them. Their product looks fantastic, and it looks like it's essentially going to be an Instagram type mechanism on the Steem blockchain, built through SMT tokens. So it's really the first example of a full package that will be put onto Steem through an SMT token. So I'll really be interested in watching that going forwards. I really have a lot of high hopes for those guys and wish them all the best. And then the last thing that I saw was really of note was a movie that they've done on the Steem blockchain called Hard Fork. I understand it's going to be 1 hour feature film lengths, and there's 13 or so of them planned at the moment, and they're trying to expand that to 7 series. I'll see how this first one goes, but it's being funded through Steem, and it was better than Hollywood. Yeah, it was the trailer that they've done. If you get a chance to go and watch Hard Fork, the trailer is immense. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, and it really was top quality, blown through the roof. brilliance. Yeah. So it really made it obvious what the possibilities of social media and doing movie media on Steam are. And I saw there were quite other few. There was at least 3 guys that I saw that were quite senior in movie making and made movies for their whole career. And so they were there at Steam. They were trying to work out how they could leverage Steam to make movies on Steam, and that's all positive stuff going forwards. So I apologise if I missed anything out. I wasn't at all the speeches. I was doing a lot of talking, networking, and probably a little bit too much drinking, maybe. But that was all positive stuff. Lots of good people. It was all about trying to change the mindset for me from being a value distribution system to being a value creation system, which is definitely what Steam will end up being. Ned did mention that he sees Steemit.com being worth about 1% of the overall Steam ecosystem. Steam ecosystem. And that's the point, right? We're going to go towards that way, and hopefully that then makes it into a sustainable model, and it basically allows the bloggers who are producing high quality content to live in a sustainable world, right? In terms of the online payment system that they're in, and that's all fantastic going forward. So I mean, Steemfest blew my mind, and it really, prior to Steemfest, I had massive doubts about Steemit, and I did a lot of this promotion work just off my own back, along with you, and all the other people in the platform. I was kind of going to Steemfest to try and work out, are we doing the right thing? Should we be pulling out some of our capital and reallocating it somewhere else? Well, as an investor, I'm following Steemfest, even though I don't have any tangible results that I can show you. They're all theoretical, they're all discussions at the moment, but these are all things going forward, amazing people working on, and I just feel the future potential is massive, and it certainly made me want to stick around and even now get even more involved in Steam than I was. So that's what's going to end up happening with some of these initiatives. So, yeah.
Unbelievable. So to wrap everything up then, Matt, was it well worth the trip, 5 days in Portugal?
Well worth it, and I recommend it to anyone, and if you get the chance to go next year, go along. You'll learn so much, and you'll feel more included and understand where your place is on Steam a lot better, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
By the way,
I certainly know over the last 5 days while Steemfest was going on, I watched as many of the presentations as I could possibly cram in over the weekend. One of the ones that I really thoroughly enjoyed was Ned's fireside chat. Getting an understanding about Ned and his background and the type of guy who he is and his vision. It was fantastic. It was a superb one, and the one that Last Yummy Foods done. Another great presentation. And then, of course, the one that you did, Matt. I thought it was absolutely superb, and I thought the message that you delivered, came across very well, and that is, the Promo-Steem, the promotion, the promoting of Steemit. This is something that has to be understood, and bringing value to the community by rewarding those users who are actively going out there and promoting Steemit. I couldn't fault your presentation at all. So I hope people got to see that, and if not, when you put this blog out, if you put a link to it again, I think people should really see it. But I'm so pleased that you've had a successful trip, Matt, and I'm so glad that you got back safe, and look forward to obviously carrying on with what we've been doing.
Stephen, much appreciate that. Really, really do. Thanks very much, and the same for you as well, with all the support you're putting into this, and mention it in a lot of your interviews. I think it's fantastic work. The community will benefit from all that good stuff. Talking about the interviews that you've been mentioning Steemit in, there was one you did recently with Crush the Street, as far as I've watched it, and I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I was so fortunate that Kenneth contacted me about 2 weeks prior to the interview, and just said, we would like to get you on crusterstreet.com, and I'm a massive fan of what Kenneth does, and I was honoured to go on his show, and of course I promoted Steemit. And I think it lasted about 34 minutes. The last time I looked, it was over 10,000 hits on YouTube. And the exposure that it gave Steemit, was perfect, and I'm hoping that I can leverage that. I've had a few other people contact me. Max and Stacey are over in the US, and I'd love to get back on
Max
Kaiser. Max, yeah, Max Kaiser. I'd love to get back on their show, and I'm trying to get on to USA Watchdog. Big fan of Greg Hunter's, and these are the shows that I'd love to share. My vision as to what's going to go on in the future with not just social media, but the unwinding of the stories that mainstream media have been sharing over the last 60 odd years. This is the sort of things that I'd like to really start talking about, because I think now's the time that people should really start talking, in preparation as to what's going on. But that's for another story. I'm so excited, Matt, that you've had a brilliant time in Steemfest, and can't wait to sit down with you, have a beer, and have a catch up with you again.
Yeah, we'll be doing that soon, no doubt about it.
Okay, well, listen, Matt, I'll leave you to it. It's been a brilliant night catching up with you, and hopefully get to see you very shortly, yeah?
Yeah, look forward to it, sir. All the best.
Cheers. Thanks, Matt. Take care. Ta-ra. Bye. Bye.